Hi, and welcome back to the Azure Database for MySQL monthly webinar. I am Shreya Raital, and co-hosting the series with me is Avnish Rastogi.
Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar.
May has been a busy month for us at Microsoft, like every other year. We've had several major announcements at Microsoft Build, especially in Azure Data. In case any of you missed it, be sure to check out the Book of News. Here is the link for your reference. But in short, we've had over 50 exciting announcements at Build this time. But the most exciting ones for us in the data and AI field were Microsoft Fabric, the all new, all in one analytics solution, which brings everything from data movement, data warehouse, data engineering, data science, real time analytics, and business intelligence using Power BI. All of this together in one integrated, easy to use software as a service product or a SaaS product. So, what that means for you is you are now free from the need to integrate all of these services together or even manage it or even understand the underlying infrastructure for that matter. It's a SaaS product. You can use it directly and just focus on getting the best out of your data. One of my most favorite phrases, and I've used this many times, probably in my previous webinars as well, but the fact that knowledge is power, right? And that's exactly what Fabric is trying to simplify. It's trying to simplify the process of getting knowledge from data so that you can power your businesses with it. And the other announcement that is super exciting is the new Azure AI Studio, the new simplified platform that helps you build your AI apps. It helps you combine your own data with the Chat GPT or GPT-4 models, and also it helps you build your own AI powered co-pilots. So again, check out the book of news to learn more about it. Now, from an Azure database for MySQL standpoint, we had two major sets of things going on with us this month. First, we had four exciting feature release announcements, including one of the most awaited features, that is the ability to provision read replicas in paired regions, which is your cross region read replica, which will help you with your BCDR strategies, with increasing performance, and so on. GA of major version upgrade from 5.7 to 8.0 with literally just a click of a button, and more, which we will cover towards the end of the session with demos. And second, we were premium sponsors at Percona Live this year. We had a couple of sessions and also a few podcasts, which we did in collaboration with David Stokes from Percona. You can check them out at ak.ms Percona Live Podcasts. Now, today, as always, we are live on YouTube, we're live on LinkedIn and Twitch as well. In case any of you missed our previous episodes where we covered a lot of basics, we talked about migration tools and strategies to development, networking, security, performance, and so on. You can check out the recordings on our YouTube channel. Our handle is at AzureDB MySQL. So, in today's session, Avnish, do you want to give us an overview of the topics we will be covering?
Thank you, Shariat. We are planning to cover multiple topics as usual. First topic we're going to cover is how to deploy WordPress, which is one of the most popular open source content management system on Azure App Service and Azure Database for MySQL, just using few clicks. And the second topic we're going to cover is how to scale Azure Database for MySQL horizontally or vertically. And there are multiple use cases we're going to cover where you will need this approach. And third topic we're going to cover is the latest release we had, as you mentioned, Sharia, Read Replica, a major version upgrade, and Azure DMS, and the demo of those releases. And finally, as usual, we will cover the future feature roadmap and the live Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Avnish. But before we get started, folks, as usual, I do want to make sure that we keep this session as interactive as possible. Go ahead and drop a hi, hello, so that we know where you're joining us from. But also, if you have any questions or feedback at any point throughout the session, please drop it in the chat window and we'll get them addressed as we go through the session. And as always, we have our product expert, Sudesh Narayan Swami, on the chat window to help address your queries on the go. Thank you again, Sudesh, for agreeing to do this. Now, shall we get started, Avnish,
Yeah.
with the first section? WordPress, right? I'm sure many of you have heard about or even worked with WordPress at some point in time to create websites or blogs. It is actually one of the most popular content management systems that, in fact, 43% of all websites across the internet are built using WordPress. But did you know that we in fact have a quick to deploy, easy to manage WordPress offering on Azure App Service, which integrates with Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server? We are very excited to invite our guest speaker, Zubairuddin Mohammed, who is actually one of the lead developers of this integration, to share more about this today. Hi, Zubair. Welcome to the
Hey,
webinar. Can you
Shreya.
tell us a little bit about yourself? Sorry. Go ahead.
Hey, hello, and Avnish. Hi, Shreya. Yeah, my name is Zubair, and I am a software developer with WordPress on Azure App Services team. And we've been working from past 1.5 year on providing WordPress as a managed offering on App Service. And also, we have been collaborating with MySQL, which is our primary database for WordPress.
Thank you, Zubair. But really, over to you to walk us through the offering. What does the offering's architecture look like? How do we deploy it? How do we build websites on top of it? And most importantly, how do we manage the whole system?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, so before we go into the architecture, let's talk a bit about what WordPress is and how it works and what is WordPress ecosystem, right? So, like Steve was saying, WordPress is basically a blogging platform and content management system, which is used by almost every organization and professionals. You can see news websites or university sites or hospital sites, or take any websites, right, or black blogging sites. Almost all of them are powered by WordPress, and it's like basically you think of an app service, an app store where uh, you have all the ready-made apps available where you can download and use it, right? So WordPress works in a similar way. It can be used by anyone who has very little to no technical knowledge. They can just simply download plugins and themes from widely available store, and with a simple click they can just simply install it and start using and building the website. So that's how WordPress works. It's basically a PHP application, and there are like lots of hosting provider for WordPress, GoDaddy or WP and several other providers. But what differentiates between them and app service is basically a PaaS offering, where you will have more control on how you want to work with your resources. So firstly, like, you can just deploy with few clicks. Like, you just do a few clicks, you select what you want, what top on features you want, and all other stuff. Like, you can just do a few clicks and you will have a readily working website, WordPress site available to you within a couple of minutes. So what is the pros of WordPress site? Like, WordPress site, we have the basic thing about that is like the scalability. App service, one of the best thing about app service is scalability. So traditionally, if you look at WordPress, it was not designed as a scalable app. I mean, the design when consideration was not taken into account. So uh, with the recent advancement, like with the advancement in cloud computing, now we can scale the WordPress to multiple instances and all that. So app service provides very high scalability, both horizontal and vertical scaling. What I mean by horizontal scaling is like you can just keep on adding more and more machines to your site. Let's say right now you don't have any user traffic coming to your site. You can probably have a single instance, and now let's say you have a dynamic traffic which can peak at any point of time. Like, you can basically within few clicks you can just add more and more resources to your app service. And similarly, you can also have vertical scaling, which basically means like you can keep one instance but add more compute power to that, like more CPU and resources, CPU and memory resources to that. So that's the best thing about app service. And the other thing is like you can see in this diagram, your app and database both are under a VNet, which is a very high secured feature that you can integrate. It basically comes when you deploy a WordPress from our offering. And apart from that, app service also provides you 24/7 monitoring and logging. So if something goes wrong, you can always go back and check. If you want to monitor your resources, how the consumption is, what is the CPU, what is the memory, and all that, it's basically taken care of. Like and also backup and restore, let's say. So your app data is always backed up, right? You can back up and restore at any point of time. And apart from that, right, we also have other features of Azure that you can integrate with app service that you can make use of. With other hosting providers, you might not get the chance, but here you get everything in a single package, right? You have app service, and let's say most of the WordPress users might be familiar with CDN, blob storage features. So a CDN is basically, a content distribution network which basically catches your data across the globe and serves it fast. So basically, your sites become super fast with CDN. And also blob storage, which is used to store your static metadata that basically can increase the performance of your site. So these features, like, you can just add with a simple click, right? With You can integrate with WordPress easily. During the create experience, you will have an option. If not, you can just go ahead and create later on also. So all these extra features you get along with our managed offering, right? And on the top of that, what extra we offer is, like, even your app is managed to some extent, like all the underlying tools that the app comes with. Your app has an Nginx server, your app has a PHP, your app has like several other tools that will be managed. Let's say right now you are using PHP 8 version, and tomorrow you get an updated version of PHP. You can just simply update by changing the tag with a single click. So that's one of the best thing. And moreover, we also optimized our app, the container that we offer, right? The image that we offer, we have optimized it heavily for performance. And we also provide a in-app Redis cache to increase the performance. And also there are several layers of cache at the storage that can boost your performance. So these all features you get along with our offering. And it's easy to upgrade and maintain all these things. So yeah, this is about WordPress, right? And for the users who are not technically too savvy, right, they can just simply click on the create, and with a single click, they can integrate all these services with our offering. And even MySQL is basically managed MySQL. Everybody knows about that, right? So it has backup and restore and scalability and all other things. So like everything is managed. And like if you want to optimize your cost, or you don't want to use a high SKU, you can just decrease whenever you want. And if there is a demand, you can just increase whenever you want, right? So that's about WordPress on app service. So we can quickly go on to a demo next. Right. You can basically type like WordPress on app service, search for WordPress on app service in the marketplace, and you would see a offering by Microsoft. Although you will see several other offerings, you can probably use the one which is being offered by Microsoft and app service, right? And all you have to do is just select the subscription that you want, and either you can choose an existing resource group or create a new resource group and select a location that you want. Like usually the location is supposed to be like you choose it wherever your user base is nearer to your user base, right? If you choose it further far away, like you might see latencies and performance issues. And you can have like several you can choose from one of the predefined hosting plans. Avnish, can you just pause it here? I want to talk a bit about this. So these hosting plans, like they each hosting plan comes with a predefined configuration of app service and database. So this is just to get you started with. This is not something that is a limitation for you. Like right now, you might have a app service with one core, 2 GB, and after deployment you want to increase it, you can just simply increase it. You want to increase the storage of your database, or you want to scale it, you can just simply do that. So all the plans basically come with a VNet, are integrated with a VNet, so they are already secure. And you can optionally choose to integrate CDN and blob, and that will be automatically integrated with your WordPress site, and you will get a ready-made WordPress site installed with these features. So you have a caching, you have backup and restore facilities. So you also have PHP to access your database, because right. So yeah, Avnish, you can go ahead. Right. So let's just stick to one of the plan. Yeah. So after you select a hosting plan, you can basically give the basic details that needs for WordPress installation, like admin name, username, password, email ID, and the language of your site. Right. Once you do that, you can just simply click on next. You will also have an option to create a multi-site. Right. So now In the advanced tab, again, like I was talking about a CDN feature, right? You have Azure CDN and Azure Front Door. uh, Both are available, but we can integrate only one at a time. Although Azure Front Door is kind of like a CDN place, you get extra features here, Azure Front Door. uh, and then you have blob storage. If you want, you can choose an existing blob storage, or you can use a new blob storage. You can create a new blob storage, similarly for VNet also. So once you choose all the options, right, you can just review your all the details. Just check the plan that you're using, check the details of your WordPress site, like the username and password, and similarly the details of your database and all that. So one thing to note here is like, even if you forget the password, right, the username and password of database or your WordPress site, so you can retrieve them later on, from the app service. You can go to your app service, and under configuration you will have all the settings listed, so you can just check your password and other details there. So once you click on create, it will take a couple of minutes, and you will have a different resources selected, right, whatever you have selected. So let's just wait for a moment. So yeah, once it is deployed, you can go to your resource group, and you will see a bunch of resources there. So let's just wait for this. Yeah. So here you can see we have an app service, we have a database, and since we selected CDN, we have a front door plus CDN, and we do have VNet, we do have blob storage account. We have like all the resources deployed under single resource scope. And if you go to the app service, you will see the default domain with which your WordPress site is created. See, you have a site which is installed for you with the given details. And if you want to log into your admin dashboard, you can just use a password which you gave during the create time. Right. Right. So to give a bit more detail about the admin dashboard, we basically use couple of plugins to configure CDN and Azure Front Door, blob storage, and also the Redis cache, in-app Redis cache that is available within the container. So if you go to the W3 Total Cache plugin, you can see there are several types of cache which are configured using Redis server. Right, you have a page cache, and then you have object cache. You have a CDN also, which is configured here. So you can see the Redis server is running at localhost 6379 port, and it's working fine. Uh, and similarly, you can also see CDN now. So you can see that the blob storage is configured here along with the CDN endpoint. So this plugin basically takes care of your uh, configuration of all the add-ons. Right? And then you can also access phpMyAdmin by typing a slash phpMyAdmin suffix to the end of your site. And if you don't remember the password, you can go to the configuration section, and there you will see the variables, database username and password. So you can just copy it from there. So let's just copy that. So again, phpMyAdmin comes within the app itself. So it is also managed. Let's say tomorrow you get a newer version of phpMyAdmin, it will be automatically upgraded. So yeah, this is your phpMyAdmin. You can see your database here, and all the tables, right? So let's go back to the app service, and let's talk about app service in general. So you can basically scale up your app here. So you see a bunch of configuration SKUs that you can dynamically change, right? Let's say you want to use any SKU, you can just simply click on it and click OK, and it will upgrade it easily. Then you also have scale out, which is similar to horizontal scaling, where you can add more and more instances to your app, right? And if you have any custom domains, you can add it from here, right? You can just add the custom domain and verify it. And then going back, yeah, we can go back to the MySQL resource, and you can see what configuration you're using for MySQL and what's the MySQL server name. And if you want to scale your MySQL database, you can just simply choose a compute tier and just select the configuration and scale. You can scale out the storage also. You can also scale out the IOPS. So it's mostly, you have the control over everything, right? And also you have an option for geo redundancy, where you have the multiple replicas, right? Right. So let's go back. Right. And you can also see there's a blob storage account, there's a vnet. So this is your blob storage account, and you can see in the containers right now, this is a newly created site and there's no content, but once you upload some data, it will get stored here. Mostly the user uploaded data, like the media data, which is under uploads folder, will get uploaded here, and it will be served from the blob storage. And here you have a vnet, and you can see that your app and database are under different subnets, right, of the same vnet. So you have different subnets. So yeah, so this is about uh, you know uh, WordPress on Azure App Service. You can go ahead and explore these. And thank you, Shreya, for giving me time to present this.
Thank you,
And
Jugal.
thank you, Avnish.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Zubair, for the detailed walkthrough and demo. Folks, if any of you want to check out the quick start, here's a link to it. But really, I love how simplified the create experience is, how we have multiple SKUs, multiple configuration options for folks to choose from based on their workloads, right? And how at the end of the day, the application as well as the database, they're both on managed PaaS services. So you don't have to really worry about the underlying app or DB management, and you can just focus on building your website. So thank you again, Suber. See you. On to our next section, we'd like to invite Deepti Prasad from our product group to share with us some important tips and tricks for seamlessly scaling Azure Database for MySQL to keep it as performant as possible. Welcome, Deepti. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Shreya. And hello, all. This is Deepti from the MySQL product team, where I lead the growth PM team that focuses on customer success, go to market, and migrations.
Thank you so much, Deepti. Over to you. Really looking forward to the best practices, and I know you have a few cool demos planned. So over to you.
Sure. Thank you. So today we are going to take a look at ways to automate scaling of MySQL Flexible Server. Before we get into the architecture and demo, let's take a quick look at scaling MySQL workloads. Scaling is the process of keeping the database performant, irrespective of variations in the load or data growth. It ensures that the application and infrastructure cater to the needs of the growing demands. In fact, the need for scaling is a positive problem to have. It arises mostly because of three main reasons. One being that the application would have grown in complexity, or that there is growth in the data, or that the traffic has increased. So the user traffic has increased over a period of time, or spikes can occur. So and Azure Database for MySQL is a managed service offering that provides a host of capabilities to scale your database, and we perform the heavy lifting through features like burstable CPU, storage auto grow, auto scale IOPS. But beyond a certain point, you will need to analyze and take actions manually based on your application and workload needs. Next step in this process of scaling is detection. So detection and troubleshooting that the database needs to be scaled is generally obtained through monitoring your database well. Monitoring the health of the DB is very critical to ensure that action is taken well before production down scenarios occur. On Azure, there is a comprehensive suite of monitoring tools, starting with metrics, which provides a quick overview of the common metrics like CPU percentage, IO, the number of connections, etc. But if you want to proactively get notified, you can use features like resource health and alerts to set rules on certain metrics. For example, if you want to receive an email or SMS whenever the CPU on your database is greater than 90% for 5 minutes or so, you can configure it there. But all said and done, Azure Monitor expands these capabilities even further, where you can not only view, visualize, and analyze the various logs from your MySQL flexible server, but you can also write custom scripts to run specific queries on your tables and visualize them through workbooks. And once you've gone through this process and analyzed the cause of your latency, the next step will be to take action for any scaling related issues. And from past experience, the mitigation or remedy is generally divided into two main areas. Changes to the application side of things is one main bucket. So this may include changes to application code or even optimization of a few MySQL queries. And the second bucket includes changes to the underlying infrastructure. Infrastructure changes are either to horizontally scale the database by adding more replicas, or even go to the extent of partitioning or sharding, or vertically scale the infrastructure by switching to a higher SKU. On Azure, you can also automate the infrastructure scaling by making the most of the ecosystem that's available. And today, let's take a look at an example to horizontally scale a flexible server. Scaling through read replica is one of the highly used features in MySQL All. So this is commonly used to handle multiple scenarios, be it read write separation, handle read traffic spikes, etc. In this example, we'll use Azure Functions for our automatic scaling. Azure Functions is a serverless compute offering where you will have to pay only for the amount of time that you will need the CPU for. And as seen in the architecture, we have a flexible server, and then there are these various metrics and logs available for that server. From a reactive programming perspective, we'll use Azure Function App to monitor as well as take action based on a particular condition. In the example, the function app gets triggered every minute, and every minute it will check for the number of active connections on the database, and whenever the number of connections goes beyond a certain threshold, it automatically deploys a new read replica for the flexible server. And for the sake of the demo, I've used a threshold of 20. You can use this architecture to monitor any metric or query the database, and you can take any action, be it to trigger horizontal or vertical scaling. You can run queries, CLI commands, or even deploy ARM or Bicep templates to manage your flexible server. The key aspect in implementing this will be to provide proper authorization for the function app to take actions on your flexible server. And this is achieved through creation of a managed identity and providing this identity access to the MySQL database and function app. And now let's take a quick look at the code and the demo of this. VS Code makes it very easy to build function apps. I've used Python, but you can use any programming language of your choice. Once you have the function app uh, installed, thanks, Abneesh. And once you have the function app extension downloaded, all you have to do is go to the command palette and click on create functions. I'll be using a timer trigger for periodic monitoring of the MySQL database. But once the function app is created, add the code to connect to the database using the MySQL.connector package. Yeah, this is the MySQL connections. And once that's done, you can run any query. Here, I run a query to get the number of active connections. And if the number of connections is greater than 20, I trigger a replica creation by deploying an ARM template with the necessary configuration parameters. Yeah. And as you can see, I guess managed identity and providing access is the critical part of it. And all of the configuration for the replica is stored in a JSON file. And you get dynamic parameters from the source server as well. And you can extend this scenario for as you may want. And moving on to the demo of it. So as you can see, in the resource group called Percona Live, there is only one flexible server called Scale. You will also see that there is a managed identity created called Identity1 here. And on the replication role, you will also notice that there is no replica provisioned for the primary server here. And as noticed in the code earlier, we created a function called firstFunc, which had a timer trigger. So let's take a look at the portal point of view from right now. So as you'll see, there's a timer trigger, and there is a capability where you can extend it to have additional inputs as well. And once you have this function app, you can view real-time logs through Logstream and the capability with live metrics. So this is a really useful function or feature to look at the active logging that we added in the code previously. Yeah. So now let's take a look at the database. And let's monitor the number of active connections on the database. So right now, there seems to be currently 15 active connections. And for the purposes of the demo, I've created a store procedure to create additional load and create new connections. So once we run that, the active connections are now at 22, so which has crossed the threshold of 20. So this should have triggered the replica creation, and you see that a new replica is being deployed. And it takes a while, in this case 7 minutes or so, to create the replica. And if we look at the replication role, we should be able to see a replica. In this case, you see a new server called Scale2. Which is the replica for the primary server. And if at all you use proxy solutions like proxy SQL, you can also update this configuration through the function app so that incoming connections are automatically routed to the read replica. So it's an end-to-end automated capability that you can build. So yeah, this is all I had for today, and you can use this for any kind of resource handling. If you have any questions, do write to us. And off to you, Shreya and Avnish.
Thanks so much, Deepthi. It was super useful, the tips and the demo. So, folks, if you have like critical workloads that require quick and responsive, seamless scaling, right? Make sure to plan it in advance with the tips that Deepthi shared, and also probably set up, automated systems like these, which will monitor your workload and trigger horizontal scaling using read replicas. So, thank you so much, Deepthi.
Thank you.
On to the last section, Avnish. Shall we go ahead with the feature announcements and demos?
Yeah. So last week in the last previous webinar, we announced the GA of the data and replication using GTID-based replication and data and replication on HA-enabled servers. And Sharia mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, we announced the cross-region read replica in paired regions. And Deepti also showed how you can use read replica to scale your read-only workload. And using the functionality which Deepti demonstrated, you can automate entire functionality to scale read replica or drop read replica if your workload decrease. Now we have a small demo to show how you can create the read replica using the portal. as well as in the CLI. So this is our MySQL overview, and we have this MySQL instance demo geo replica. To create the replica, you come to replication and create on add replica. So the primary instance is deployed in West Europe, and the paired region for this location is North Europe. So you select the location here, and once you select the region, then you basically click on Review plus Create. So in case of read replica, it will inherit all the properties of your primary instance. So the subscription, a resource group, all that information would be inherited from the primary instance. Now, if you want to use your read replica to promote for the read write in case of a unplanned or planned outage, you can simply click on the promote, and you select this notification and click on the promote. So now your read replica will become independent read write instance, and you can switch your application to this new instance. Now, if you want to use the CLI to create the read replica, you can simply use this Azure MySQL Flexible Server Replica Create and provide the replica name as well as the location and the source server information. So either you can use Portal or you can use CLI to create the read replica in the paired region. The next feature we want to talk about is the major version upgrade. So as many of you might know that MySQL 5.7 would be end of life in October 31st this year. And in Azure MySQL Flexible Server, we have two options which you can use to upgrade your MySQL 5.7 to 8.x. One is the offline in-place upgrade, and second is the near zero downtime upgrade using the read replica. So in this demo, we will show how you can use in-place offline upgrade using the portal. So what we have here is this MySQL instance, which is running on 5.7. And it's deployed, it's in 5.7, and as you can see that we have option to do the upgrade on the top right, as well as in the MySQL version 5.7 upgrade option. So first thing we need to do before you do the upgrade is to update your server parameters, because there is one parameter which is not supported in 8.x, which is in the SQL mode, and you unclick this no auto create user option, save these settings. And once you have these settings saved, another thing we would recommend is that before you initiate the upgrade, do the ad hoc backup. And this backup would be your rollback strategy, that in case for any region you have to roll back, you can restore from that backup. So you come to this backup and restore in the settings. And here you can initiate backup now. So once your backup is completed, you can come back to your overview page. And here you can click initiate the upgrade either from here or MySQL version 5.7 upgrade. And your upgrade time will depends on the size of the database. So if you have a small database, which is the case in this case, the upgrade will take literally few seconds. So once your upgrade is completed, let's look into the overview page again. So as you can see, now you're running on MySQL 8.0, and no longer upgrade option is available either in the top right or in the MySQL version. The second option is to do the upgrade using the CLI command. So first thing is to log in into your Azure account, and then you can use this MySQL Flexible Server upgrade option to upgrade from 5.7 to 8.x, and you provide basic information, and that will allow you to upgrade your MySQL version from 5.7 to 8.x. Another feature which we went GA is the MySQL online migration using Azure DMS. So this is something we announced a couple of weeks ago. This feature had been in was in preview for a couple of months, and it's now GA now. So in Azure DMS support both offline and online migration. In this demo, we will show you how you can use Azure DMS service to migrate your single server instance to flexible server instance. And to do the online migration, you should have your DMS service provisions, and your single server is a existing single server instance, and the target instance should also exist. You can use either new target instance or you can use existing target instance, because in using Azure DMS, you can migrate entire instance, or you can select databases you really want to migrate from single server to flexible server. So once you have your DMS service provisioned, you come on the new migration project and you provide the project name, and your source server type would be Azure MySQL single server. And your target server type would be flexible server. And migration activity in this case is online data migration. And you create and run activity. Now here we're going to provide the information regarding your single server instance. So you provide the location where your single server is deployed, resource group, your username and password to connect to the single server instance. And second step is to provide the target server information. So you provide the location where your target server is deployed, flexible server, resource group, instance name, and the username and password to connect to the target instance. Finally, we're going to select the databases we would like to migrate. As I mentioned that you can select individual databases you want to migrate, or you can select all the databases you're going to migrate. In this case, we are migrating all the databases. And as part of the migration, we are also migrating all the objects in those databases. And specify the activity name, and then click on the Start Migration. So the migration is a two-step process behind the scene. One is the initial seeding. So what we are doing is basically copying all the data from single server to flexible server, which is the initial seeding step. And once you have initial seeding in place, then we will start capturing the changes from your single server to flexible server. So right now it's basically applying all the changes from single to flexible server. And one thing to keep in mind is the replication lag here. Once you have your replication lag 0, you can initiate the cutover. So in this case, our replication lag is 1 second, but ideally it should be 0. And typically during the downtime window, you can make sure your replication lag is 0 and initiate the cutover. So that's all for the DMS online migration.
So there was a question, Avnish, on the major version upgrade, on whether we can do it on burstable SKU. But yeah, that is so currently burstable SKU is not supported, and you can scale up to general purpose, upgrade it, and then scale it back to burstable. So that is how you would go ahead for your measured version upgrades for your burstable SKU. Just wanted to put
Right.
it out.
And thank you, Shreya. So other features which we announced, GA, the connector for Power Platform and Logic apps, it's also GA now. And few features which we are planning to either a public preview or GA in upcoming quarter. So one is the private link. Private link, we plan to have it's in private preview right now, and public preview would be available later this month, which means you can have private link available in all the regions where Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server is available. The next feature is MySQL extension for Azure Data Studio. So as we discussed in the previous webinar, Azure Data Studio is a cross operating system platform which you can use to manage on-premise databases as well as databases deployed in Azure or in other cloud providers. And you can use this to manage SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres. So we have this MySQL extension, which is in public preview, and we plan to have it GA later this month. The next feature is the universal cross-region read replica. So we briefly talked about the read replica in the paired region. Universal cross-region read replica is the read replica which you can deploy in the non-Azure paired region. And as we discussed, read replica, you can use it primarily for two use cases. One is to offload your read-only workload, and second is for the disaster recovery. So we plan to have the private preview later this month, and then public preview and GA will come in Q3.
Yeah, and
The
I know
next,
there was a question on this on the chat as well. By the end of the month or early next month, you can just write to us again, the same email ID, ask Azure DB for MySQL to enroll in the private preview. Go ahead, Manish.
yeah, the next feature is the auto scale IOP. So this is one of the critical feature which we released in public preview a couple of months ago, and we plan to have this GA in Q3 FY20 in calendar year 2023. So in next couple of months. And finally, Microsoft Defender for Cloud for Azure Database for MySQL Flexible Server. We plan to have the private preview in Q3 calendar year 2023. So these are some of the features we had planned. Any other questions, Sharia?
No, I think that's all for now. Let me just cross verify. But yeah, I think we are kind of over time for today, so we'll close
Yeah.
out. There are a couple of questions, Sudesh. Would be great if you can help answer those questions as we close this out. But as I wanted to leave you with three things, folks. First is to learn more about our service. You can just use these resources, or feel free to reach out to us using our email ID. Second, stay tuned for more updates and announcements by following us on social media and subscribing to us on YouTube channel. Our handle on YouTube as well as Twitter is at AzureDB MySQL. And finally, if you want to feature in our upcoming webinars, and I'm going to call this out again, if you want to feature in our upcoming webinars or collaborate with us on any collateral, it could be videos, it could be blogs, it could be articles, reference architectures, just fill out this form and let us know. Also, you can use the same form for any feedback on the session, or if you have any topics that you want to suggest that we should cover in the upcoming sessions as well. But that's all, folks. Thank you all for tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. See you all again next month in the next session that is on 12th of July at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you to our presenters as well. Thank you. Bye.